and welcome to another episode of Flashback 64, the chronological Nintendo 64 podcast. I'm Gooey, joined as always by McKenna.
Hello.
And today we're talking about a game we've never played before, or even heard of. I don't think I had heard of this game before. Had you?
No.
I think I had seen just seen the name and never thought about what it is. And then when I did and I saw the game, it was surprisingly what I thought it might be. So
yeah,
it delivered in that regard. But anyway, today we're talking about Wetrix, and we've got a great guest, our good pal coming back to the show, Andrew Elmore. Andrew, welcome back to the show.
Hello, thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. It's, I'm excited to get into it. I know you have a bit of you have some familiarity with the game before the episode.
I have no, Wetrix came with the universe to me. I don't, it's a game that I've only recently learned that no one has apparently heard about. I don't know even where I heard about or came in contact with Wetrix. It's just always been there in my times of great need in life. It's always been there for me emotionally. Yeah, no, I could try to sit here and make up a backstory, I guess, but I have no idea. It's just been around forever. Most of my experience with it has been almost universally with the Dreamcast port, which I'm sure we will get into. We're kind of getting into that era where there will be a lot of cases where you'll be covering N64 games, to which I will say, yeah, I mostly played the Dreamcast port. But yeah, no, it's just I've had this beautiful Dreamcast copy of it forever and ever. And yeah, no idea what the origin is. It's just a game that I've enjoyed passively and casually for all of my life, and I've been enjoying an excuse to play a whole lot more of it these last few weeks here.
Same, yeah, it's been great. I think it's there's different tiers to the Nintendo 64 iceberg, and there's been games that are obviously everyone talks about them, to no end, and then the bottom iceberg is games I don't even know about until right before when we're preparing to record, and no one signed up for it, and I don't think anyone remembers this, but then this is somewhere in the middle where I would call it a post in our world, a post Flashback 64 game, where once we started doing the podcast, it's one of those games where there were people coming out of the woodwork to be yeah, Wetrix. I'm oh, okay. I had never heard of this game, but it's got a fan base. So and there's a reason to that. We'll get into it, but before we do, let's do our flashback segment. I'm unsure of the release date. Once again, I read June 16th, maybe June 12th, 1998. And it's actually the same day as our last game, which is I think, one of the lower iceberg games, Chopper Attack. Absolutely nobody knew what that game was when I asked them. And so here we are. You get Wetrix and you get Chopper Attack on the same day.
The two genders, yeah.
And well, yeah. We're gonna be in the zone for a while where the number one single is "The Boy Is Mine." So I'm gonna dig deeper into the charts, and so I saw this one. I was I want to know if you remember this song, or if you know this song. I guess "They Don't Know" by John B. peaks at number 7.
Not off the top of my head. I'm sure I'm going to feel really dumb listening back to this later, but at least at the moment, I'm ringing a bell.
We watched the video for it. I was I've never heard of this fella. So yeah, there you go. It hangs on the charts for most of the summer. The number one album is still MP "The Last Dawn" by Master P.
Is he still the richest man in hip hop? Is that still applicable? That can't be.
Was that a thing? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think he just made a lot of really good investments or whatever really early on with the money that he made, and he just ended up a ultra bazillionaire. I remember that was the one fun factoid about post fame in quotes Master P era is I remember reading a bunch of he was secretly quietly the like richest rapper in history or something. This has been Master P Facts.
I've seen him on my wrestling. I've seen him on my stories in the past few years. He showed up once.
Yeah, you're watching a lot of the Romeo show.
yeah. I was binging it. There was a short film that accompanied this album that I saw was up on YouTube, and I was like, maybe I'll watch this, and I didn't get around to it. So sorry.
If you had, you'd be wearing a bucket hat right now.
Okay, I also wanted to let you know, because we mentioned this album before, debuting and peaking at number 2, Adore by Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this album? I got to admit, I have listened to a decent amount of, the previous 2 albums from them, and I listened to this album and I enjoyed it, but I was like, I don't think I know this at all. So yeah, what's your take on Adore?
Yeah, so I'm a massive Siamese Dream guy. That album is like written into my DNA. Thankfully, Billy Corgan's politics and ideologies are not. But I really, really love Siamese Dream. I like Gish. I like Melancholy quite a bit. Adore, I feel like gets pretty generally, like, not panned, but like just forgotten. It came up with special guest Corey Carlson, the man himself of My Life in Gaming, on a completely different, unrelated podcast called The Silent Discographer. This album here, Adore, because we all just kind of started talking about it and realizing, like, we all just kind of started to really like that record as we got older. It's just one of those things where, like, you hit 30 and suddenly Adore is like no longer the weird, like, yearning theater kid record. It's like the, I don't know, almost more of a weird late 90s cabaret goth thing. I don't know, whatever. It's still like theatrical and ridiculous, but yeah, I don't know, whatever. It's a weird record. I like it.
Number 1 movie, still The Truman Show. So I was like, what else was there? Number 4, Can't Hardly Wait.
On June 12th,
he is the most dope guy in school. Yeah, and school's over.
let go of the past
You don't even know me anymore.
Yes, I do. You Kenny Fisher suddenly got too cool to hang out with me.
and discover your future.
If I'm not Mike's girlfriend, who am I?
I really believe there's one person for everybody.
There is fate, but it only takes you so far because once you're there, it's up to you to make it happen.
Can't Hardly Wait.
Amanda?
Rated PG-13. Opens everywhere June 12th.
Remember the Replacements song?
It doesn't matter. It's some stupid movie. We have more interesting. You should have been here some of the other weeks. We had more interesting, like, I didn't know this was a movie. And this is just like, it's 90s.
Fine. I'm over here like multitasking. I've got like a one window over here. I'm looking up set as Chopper Attack on the N64. On this other window over here, I've got that door up in my stupid music thing.
I feel
so
like
you're talking, and then underneath that is just, you will never be alone. What are
maximum stimulus going on?
It's too much happening.
You should try Chopper Attack. I feel like you'd like it.
Okay.
Last thing. Here's like a really, because we're in the same day, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go deeper. Here's a really 90s story from the New York Times. Fake Beanie Babies lead to import charges.
What a headline.
A stationery store owner in Ridgewood, New Jersey was charged yesterday with illegally importing 6,500 counterfeit Beanie Babies from China, conspiring to sell the popular stuffed animals for as much as $1,500 each, federal authorities in Manhattan said. So, guys, there's some Beanie Baby fraud going on here.
I got caught with that weight with intent to distribute. I was riding dirty as shit. What do you think was going to happen?
Prosecutors said the store owner conspired to sell fake versions of especially rare out-of-production Beanie Baby.
That rules.
Peking the Panda faces up to 5 years in prison and $200,000 in fines if convicted. He was released on a $50,000 personal bond in order to surrender his passport.
Wow.
This actually happened to me when I right-clicked someone's monkey profile on Twitter like 4 years ago.
Someone should do like a thriller Beanie Baby movie. I think that would be pretty sick.
Like as a genre or like the Michael Jackson video?
Yeah, like stop motion, would a depressed person do this type situation? Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure, that's the most 90s story I think ever is Beanie Baby crimes. So
yeah, I mean, I think I'm like right between you two age-wise, but I remember Beanie Babies as a blip
Oh yeah, no, they
Honestly,
were
like it was a
for me. It like carried so much weight. Like I thought Beanie Babies. I was 8, but I thought they were awesome. It was like right around the same time as
finally Pokemon for grandmas.
Right. It felt like Pokemon. Yeah. That like to me, they were like indistinguishable. Like it was like real life Pokemon.
We call those animals, Goo.
Yeah.
You get excited when you're collecting Beanie Babies, and sometimes, even though the story sounds too good to be true, you want the beanie so bad, you buy it anyway. And what is the most important thing? Have fun collecting Beanie Babies.
Wetrix is a 3D falling object puzzle game in which you'll work to contain falling water droplets on a platform. Players arrange descending uppers and downers to raise and lower the landscape, forming enclosed spaces for water to land in. Any water not contained in these lakes will flow off the platform and into a drain. A full drain meter results in a game over. Bombs and fireballs will also fall, allowing the player to further control the landscape and water. Bombs and fireballs explode on contact, creating a hole in the landscape which water will flow through, but they'll help keep your earthquake meter down. If the meter gets too high, an earthquake will devastate your landscape. Fireballs can also be dropped into lakes to evaporate all the water. The longer you play, the faster the game goes and the more points you'll score. A few objects will start to fall, which you have no control over: rain, ice, and mines. There are 2 different difficulty modes: a practice mode, a challenge mode, a handicap mode, and a multiplayer mode. Contain the water, avoid natural disasters, and get the high score in Wetrix.
All right, Wetrix. So, okay, this game was developed by Z2, which we were actually in a group chat we had with our pal CJ, who could not make it today. But shout out to CJ. There was some talk about how this is the first game from the studio founded by the Pickford brothers, who I wasn't really aware of until researching this and seeing you guys talk about them. But Andrew, do you want to, just for our listeners who don't know, and for us, I guess maybe a little background? Do you have some background on the Pickford brothers?
The Pickford brothers are responsible for bringing us Plock.
Yeah.
Super Nintendo, and Future Tactics Uprising on PS2, GameCube, and Xbox. If anyone remembers that late era budget title, I don't remember if it was a real time kind of strategy. It might have been turn based. CJ described it as a slightly worse but slightly more fun Worms 3D, and I think that's a good way to think about it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's how they had previously worked for like different studios. One was like was it Sculptured Software? Like
it makes sense.
They were working for different studios, and then this was them their first game like on their own. So they started this studio. Some light connection. I saw that they had worked on one of the SNES Ken Griffey Jr. games. So I was like, okay,
yes, that's right. They made the first one, the one that everyone loves.
Yeah, so that's awesome. It's fun, like seeing a lot of, especially with N64, just seeing different. There's a lot of like companies we get interaction with where like they were just like porting things and stuff like that. There's a lot of like entangled spider web of a lot of different companies like passing the like porting the games around and developing games. So this is their first game. It was published by Ocean. It kind of had an interesting story that I saw where it was not the game they were first trying to develop, and that it was like a basically like they took a tech demo or something that they had made for like the cool water effects, and they made that into a puzzle game, and they were instead previously developing a different game, which I think we will talk about later. But I thought that was interesting. When I first heard the title, I was like, what is this just wet Tetris? And like I said, it delivered on that fact. McKenna, I think you felt similarly.
Yeah, every time you brought it up, I was like, is it wet Tetris?
Yeah, okay.
I was like, I don't know. I guess we'll find out when we play it.
Yeah,
much like Tetris Sphere, you're just like, well, I can only imagine what that entails, but
possibly be alluding to. Yeah, I was playing a lot of the 2-player mode with my 10-year-old, and my 6-year-old walked in and asked what the game was called, and we said Wetrix, and she was like, "Yeah, this is exactly what that looks like. A thing called Wetrix would be, or whatever." I was just like, it's I was gonna say what's the reverse of nominal determinism, but that's just naming things.
Oh yeah. What'd you think about Wetrix, McKenna?
I enjoyed it quite a lot. I like the take on Tetris. It's like it's different. I mean, it still resembles Tetris in a way, but it's significantly different. And has you do it like doing something with the blocks other than making them disappear. You're manipulating land, and there's something satisfying about dropping water into little lakes that you've made.
Yeah, especially when you start getting like, you get the things like the little duck or like the rainbow.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I'm doing a good job.
It's a good feeling. Yeah. It's definitely dependent on, you mentioned this to me yesterday, but like, at least in our case, I don't know, Andrew, you probably have more experience with it, so that maybe it's more, you just have the muscle memory or whatever. But it feels like in the beginning of the setup of the games, like that's really important,
crucial.
Like it can go, like if you don't do your setup right, you like almost, it's really hard to dig out of a hole of like when the water like starts to overflow and you're like, oh crap, like my lakes aren't set up.
Sometimes you just do not get the pieces you need either necessarily to like get off to a good start. I feel like every so often I'll have a like just botched run where in the first like 30 to 60 seconds it's just like, yeah, no, this is not going to work out, and then it doesn't, and then we start over. So yeah, there's a little bit of that chance there.
Once you do get it set up and you can like actually go for a while, it does have that like Tetris zone thing you can get in where you're just sort of like, I feel like I still have to stay pretty like engaged with it, but like it is like you can just start like kind of like going through the motions, and like it's very satisfying, and you can kind of get hypnotized by the game a little bit, which can be fun though. It's like, especially because the vibes like accompanying it are like very, very pleasant, and I think the visual aspect as well, like, is what makes it satisfying. Like you were saying, like you're almost like building out like a map that you're sort of making.
Yeah.
It's like, you get in those zones where you take a look at it and you're like, oh, this looks really cool.
Yeah, it's a little bit of like not quite like a simplified city builder or like it's a Taito game, Builder's Block, but it's got that kind of like landscape terraforming thing. Like reminds me of playing with like the first 2 SimCity games as a kid, where I was like, oh, I should like build a little mountain range over here, kind of thing. Except,
totally, yeah.
It's the whole thing.
Yeah, that was even fun. I didn't spend a ton of time with it, but like in practice mode, you could just like have the one mode where you're just sort of like slamming down the different the pieces at your leisure basically, and you kind of reset it. So that was kind of fun, like just a little sandbox to play around with it. I was thinking in the last game we covered in Chopper Attack, before you would start each level, they would give you like a cool topographic map of the level, and it was like almost the exact same angle as this. And I found when I was watching you play the other day that it was like just fun to like watch you play, and like the visuals of it are very satisfying to look at. I feel like even just having it on is very nice.
Yeah, and it's like it'll start raining in the game as well. Like you'll just like have constant like tiny amounts of water falling onto your platform. That kind of gives it a cool vibe too, like a chill vibe, even though it's the stressful part. I was thinking the earthquake meter kind of brings a lot of the stress once you get past, like you get into the flow of things. Because that's one of those things where you need specific things to fall to get out of it. Or the earthquake can just happen and it'll reset the meter. But I survived one, which felt really good. And it was like, all right, I don't have to worry about that again for a while. But I think we both just kind of had immediate game overs from the earthquake.
Yeah, if you're not, like, especially the first time I encountered it, I was like, I'm not sure what we like read about it, but I'm like, I'm not sure how this is going to go. And I don't think I was ready to even, I don't know how you can be. I think sometimes it's just like you have to, react quickly. And it is a bit much for me, but I feel like I like that aspect of it, to like the push and pull.
I think it's very easy to start like getting really into a rhythm where you're just managing a kind of like framework of lakes that you've built up, and you're just kind of in you're no longer worried about building a new thing or trying to react on the fly so much as just housekeeping effectively. So I think having the earthquake meter build up as you drop more and more uppers, they call them.
Right.
I think it gives it a good incentive to shake things up right when you get to that point of like comfort of just maintenance, because then it's like a very sudden a panic mode of having to like rebuild something, scrambling with whatever you get as fast as you can, and trying to like use whatever comes down with the peace pipeline. What do you even call it? That sounds weird.
The peace pipe. Okay.
PIECE is whatever. Using the pieces that it gives you, whether that's more water or like more downers and stuff, and just figure out what to do. I think it's a good way to keep you on your toes right when you start getting comfortable.
I think in general, the game has a lot of things you can do. It can cause something else to happen, and also the pieces you get have multi like use in a lot of circumstances for how you can like mitigate that. Like you can use the fire on the water to cash in points or whatever, but you can also use it to clear up an area that might be leaking, or you can use it on some land and it will like actually take out some of that land if it's getting too hard. So it's like, even in a case where you get like, the bombs at first when I was playing, I was like freaked out by them, but like there are times where you might get it in inopportune times, but a lot of times you can get them and be like, oh good, I can like knock this mountain down that's getting too high, or X, Y, and Z's. Like all the effects that can happen, like there's like one or two different ways you can like deal with them. And I find that's what makes it engaging to like try again, even if you have a bad run,
It gives you one more kind of like plane to be creative on as well when you're in panic mode, knowing that there is at least some kind of secondary effect you can have with most of the things that it gives you.
Yeah, even just a normal piece, how it can, you can make a wall with an upper, but you can also patch a hole. And sometimes it's like, well, I could patch this hole, but this upper might be good for this lake that I'm working on over here. So it gives you a lot to think about.
Yeah, I think I would ignore the holes for a while because I usually ended up having a corner that I would send the bombs to.
Yeah, same. Yeah, but bomb corner.
Not through. You also can't, or you don't want to put your bomb through an already formed hole.
I learned that the hard way.
Was it the rebomb, or they just rain a whole bunch more on you?
Yeah, random. They'll fall randomly and really screw things up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they show you that in like the sort of preview screen, but I didn't notice that, and I was like, well, what happens if I throw a bomb in there and just like chaos reigns? It's horrifying. But that's one thing I definitely haven't survived, like a rebomb, because usually by that stage I have a lot of like lakes and stuff going on, and if a bomb is being dropped like randomly on the map or multiple, it's like I don't think
on
I've
the
ever...
lakes and draining them immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you can get there's a lot of interesting stuff at play, like the different elemental stuff. I mentioned the fire, but the ice is cool too, like how the ice can freeze your water, which can be helpful to you at times if it's like leaking too much. But then if you use the fire on it, it will thaw it.
Yeah.
So there's sometimes there's that like, do I use this now or do I try to like? Sometimes I'll like wait, like try to delay
just
it
let
so
fall
I can
real slow. Just be like, come on, melt before it gets there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like really fun. Like, yeah, it's almost like with a lot of the combinations of like pieces and things you can get, like it does a good job of like feeling different every time. Whereas like you kind of said, it feels a little random sometimes. I don't know how the pieces work. Do you happen to know? Like it's easier to know with like Tetris, now it has kind of like a standard formula. Everyone
Tetris has
kind of
that
knows.
bag system or whatever. I have no idea what the equivalent is for Wetrix. I know there are. Well, I was gonna say there are. I think some like preset patterns that you can get at the beginning, but I think that might.
Oh, okay.
I think I might just be thinking of one of the modes.
I feel like there has to be, because if it's random, you're going to
get a handful of uppers first, regardless, right?
Yeah, I've always felt like they gave like usually when I mess up in the beginning, I'm like, well, I could have definitely done that better, but it just that's how it went. So I never felt like they screwed me over.
Yeah, I want to say it's 2-player mode, where I think they give you both the same like rotation, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong about this, but I think they give you a set like X amount of pieces in an order, and it just repeats that order for both of you separately, so that you have the same pieces coming in the same order on a like kind of reliable rotation. Because I feel like I got pretty used to being able to comfortably know like, okay, after this is going to be one of these.
Okay.
Or like I got to the point where it's like, okay, I just had like this like 4 or 5 in a row. It's like, okay, I'm starting to recognize a pattern here, so I know what the next like 2 or 3 are. Which then gets weird because you start thinking ahead, and you start thinking you could plan ahead, and then earthquake hits and it's all over.
Yeah, I never hit that. I've never hit that like level of. I've loved the game like basically from the get go, but like I'm very much in the like novice zone where I'm still just like. Every time I play it, it's still it reminds me of like my early years of playing Tetris as a kid and not having like, now there's like different strategies I'll try, and I've only just started developing probably the most like rudimentary idea of like how to tackle a lot of that stuff, and also like especially when it comes to the scoring of the game. You were watching me play yesterday, looking at the score, trying to figure out how
I was
works.
trying to figure out when the scores go up, because I, watch you drop a piece, score go up, drop another piece, nothing happened.
Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure it explains it in the manual, but didn't you look? It was too confusing though.
Yeah, it explains the multipliers.
Okay,
but I don't know how like the just base like points work.
Right. Yeah. Same. I never figured. I think I had in one of the tutorials it mentioned like drop the fire to like get some points. And I was like, okay.
I don't want to take the position of claiming to be a Wetrix expert here, but so my understanding at least is that when you said cash in points by dropping the meteors into the water, I think that's a good way to think about it. My understanding is that the you'll get points from things like repair bonuses and stuff as you go, just normally. Like if you're dropping a piece that is doing a thing, as opposed to just dropping a piece that's just kind of like, raising or lowering normally. But I think if it's having an effect on something else in like various systems at play, it will add points for that. But I think most of the points come from caching in the water. Because you'll get the multipliers going where there are little rubber duckies floating around, or the mines that are dropping, or the big rainbow over the top of the playfield and stuff that are score multipliers that tell you are doing well. And number is going up. And number is going up more than number has ever gone up before, which is fascinating.
You love to see it.
But no, I think the actual big point drops are when you evaporate the water. So I think having more lakes on the field multiplies adds to the score multiplier or whatever. But I think bigger lake is more point, if that makes sense. And I think that counts for depth as well, because it's trying to do not like physics simulations, but I think it's measuring volume, because you could just build a big stupid volcano in the middle and just fill it with water if you want, and that all counts as a whole bunch of points and stuff as well. So I think
that's what I wasn't sure of. I would have it was cool when I learned about how you make when you learn how to make the rubber ducks appear, and then you do it. It's very satisfying. Oh, I did it.
I wish I could do that in real life, man.
If only you just drop some sand in a square. There you go.
Extremely great superpower. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Do I want the duckies, or do I want? I'd usually use it on my bigger lake because I'm worried about. I'm always not always, but I'm usually worried about the water. Too much water.
Yeah, 7 out of 10. Yeah,
but
I was getting rainbows way more often than rubber duckies.
Yes, which I remember they told me how to make rainbows appear, and I forgot what does it. But they kept happening.
I think
so
I'm doing this right. Total water volume.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. Yeah, I think McKenna's right. I think it's the amount of water you have just out on the field. Whereas the duckies, I think, are from filling a lake to the brim and keeping it there for a while. I don't remember. I just look, man. I drop the water and the computer man says, "Run, lake," and then the duckies show up and I smile.
There is so much happening. Yeah, the robot voice is really good. You mentioned the rainbow. I love getting the rainbow, even though it does obscure part of where I'm trying to play the game. I'm get out of here. But at the same time, it's it's
a rainbow.
Yeah, it's the wonder of nature. It's happening on my N64 screen. So I can't complain about that. But you're playing, and I'm constantly here, I'm dropping a piece, and I'm not even trying to make a specific lake, but I'm hearing 1 lake, then 3 lake, and I'm oh, what? Okay, I made more lakes. Great. I rarely was I would occasionally make the 1 off or 2 offshoot lakes to get the rubber ducky by building it tall, but I was rarely I'm making a ton of. I'm not sure what do I want to make a ton of little lakes, 1 big lake? But yeah, it was definitely overload on the stimulation in terms of the audio visual aspects of the game, but in a good way. It was very pleasant. Yeah. What about the different modes to the game? Did you played some of them, right?
I played through all of the practice mode lessons, which I thought were nice for just learning what the pieces do, what how to get the rubber duckies and the rainbows.
They were also just kind of fun to do, I thought.
Yeah. It splits the screen, so you have a computer player doing what you're supposed to be doing, basically. They're putting down stuff to get rubber duckies, and I guess you probably could follow exactly. I think you get the same pieces, so I think you could follow them.
Oh, okay. I think I did it without that. I think you could turn that off.
Oh,
because I remember doing it all unless I'm misremembering it. But I just had to figure it out on my own. Which that was kind of interesting. It was like some I had to like do it a different. Like I thought you played the game like one way. Like I definitely learned to start off making some smaller. Like I would usually start the game trying to like just make a border around the whole map, and then I was like, okay, you can't do that. And some of the lessons like taught me that specifically. And I like that in the lesson, you beat the lesson mode. You can actually change your play mat, let's just say, which I thought was pretty interesting. Some of the stuff they had there, like was the Mona Lisa, a baseball field,
some JPEGs at some point.
Yeah, that really felt like, okay, yeah, what can we throw in here? And sure, why not? Like we've got these. Andrew, any like do you typically just play classic, or do you spend much time with the other modes, or what do you think?
Yeah, I generally just jump into classic, and that is the entire game for me for the most part. Again, I spent some time with the 2-player mode with my kiddo this time around, which was great. Just split the screen down the middle. And this was on the Dreamcast port, but it cuts the frame rate from 60 back down to 30, which is where the N64 one is anyway. And aside from that, it's just competitive Wetrix. I'm trying to remember if, it's got like, different versions of competitive, like Tetris and Puyo Puyo and stuff will have like little power-ups that you can build up to send stuff over at your opponent, and this has those as well. If you want to just go rain a whole bunch of extra water or ice or bombs or whatever on your friend, that's a thing you can do. But yeah, generally speaking, I just kind of jump into the classic mode. The only time that I spent messing around with a little bit of what you guys are talking about is for Aqua, and I don't know if we want to jump into that part of that yet or not.
Okay,
but
yeah, we'll hold off real quick.
Yeah,
I'll just say
get to that later.
Quick stuff about the other mode, like just in general.
Yeah,
like the pro mode is cool, but I feel like I'm still it's faster. Like if you drop a bomb, like, or they'll have two bombs come down at the same time, like kind of like parallel to each other. It was neat, but I'm still like I'm still enjoying like just classic and like getting my feet wet, you could say, with this. So not fully going in on that. Some of the like bonus like scenarios they give are kind of fun. I know you did I think you tried a lot of them.
I tried challenge mode and I was like, I can't do this. This is too fast.
Too fast. Okay. But I like that stuff's in there for like, if you want to get real sick with the game. There was a couple ones where they give you a specific map setup, and I thought that was cool. I particularly like one where it's like a big hunk of ice in the middle, and it's like you have to like be prepared for this to thaw. And, once you get by that, well, actually, it does refreeze throughout the game. So even if you get by that and you get to normal Wetrix gameplay, they will then like refreeze. So that was like fun because it was still at like the pace of kind of classic mode, but with like a little extra added spice to it. So I did really enjoy that. We didn't do a ton of multiplayer, just because I think it was just kind of fun to, it was a game I wanted to mostly spend time with the classic mode and kind of like learning how to get better at it and stuff. So, but it's cool you can do the multiplayer. It actually works pretty well and stuff too. So I'm glad that it's there. It gives it some, especially I think our pal Cal, shout out Cal, who I showed Tetrasphere to, and we had a good time playing that kind of competitively against each other. I feel like this is a game that I would like to show to him, and I feel like me and him could have a good time playing that. So this will definitely be a game we continue to
we'll show
play.
People.
We'll for sure show people like we did. We'll sing it from the mountaintop like we did Tetrasphere. We've only got through like 3 puzzle games on the library so far. So
I mean, you've got a few all-timers though. You've got some good Puzzle Bobble. You got Wetrix.
I would not. Yeah, I have no complaints about any of them actually, and they're all different enough too that it's like a unique enough experience. So Yeah, shout out to the other modes in the game to provide some longevity, some replay value, if you will. So,
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. I'm Nick McConnell, and you caught me reading the instruction booklet for Street Fighter II in preparation for my weekly stream Instruction Derby, where I take a look at the creative, fun, and sometimes bizarre lost art of video game manuals. Did you know that, according to the manual for Street Fighter II on the Super Nintendo, Ryu was born in 1964, making him 62 years young, canonically? Happy birthday, Ryu. You're looking great. Did you also know that, per the manual for Laser Invasion on the Nintendo, the UN enters a conclave in order to select a new commando? Or did you know that the dancing enemies in Super Castlevania are named Paula Abgul and Fred Askare? These important facts and many more are discovered every Wednesday at noon Pacific on Instruction Derby over at internet website twitch.tv/Nick McConnell, part of the Soundstone Network.
yeah, let's talk about. So they did do other releases of this. Our pal CJ, who could not make it, shout out to CJ, did have a lot of thoughts. We do have a prepared statement from him because he did dedicate some time to playing it, and I wanted to get his thoughts. So here's that.
Hello, this is CJ, longtime listener, occasional guest, first-time caller. I was unable to make the recording of this episode proper, but I did want to just chime in with a look at some of the ports of Wetrix, and specifically its weird quasi-sequel Aqua Aqua. As you guys know, Wetrix is a bizarre little fever dream of a puzzle game by Steve and John Pickford, who are responsible for some of the worst games you have ever played, but also some hits here and there, like Flock and Ken Griffey Jr. Presents Major League Baseball, which does not forgive them for the various Cutthroat Islands and Spider-Man and X-Men and Arcade's Revenges of the world, but it does set them up kind of bizarrely for releasing this just acid house hangover, just a culmination of just a hangover, really, of the bizarre aesthetics of 90s UK culture. So we're all very fond of Wetrix here, as you imagine you know, but what if I told you that there is a sequel of sorts? And what if I told you this is a sequel in the sense that, you know, the different iterations of Street Fighter 2 are sequels, and we're looking at something along the lines of Street Fighter Remix, where they took something that is beloved, Street Fighter 2 Super Turbo, made a bunch of changes that are almost universally for the worse, and then also just stuck it with an awful aesthetic. So if you can imagine that in the rich garden of your mind, I would like to invite you to check out Aqua Aqua sometime. So Wetrix obviously was released on the 64 originally and has a number of very good ports. The Dreamcast and PC versions are both excellent, I would say. I actually spent more time on the Dreamcast version, but the PC version also has mouse control, which really does befit the frankly bizarre controls of the game much better. However, and we just won't talk about the Game Boy Color version. All you need to know is there's a Game Boy Color version, and if the 64 can barely handle the physics going on, you know the Game Boy Color cannot. However, the game did have some success in Japan, and they were asked to kind of revisit the idea, but make it more appealing to a Japanese audience. So they did that, but kind of what they did was they basically redid the entire aesthetic of the game from the ground up in a way that is much, much worse. So, essentially, it takes on a very cutesy, from the nation that brought us the Teletubbies. If you can imagine just the most Y2K little scrimblows you possibly can, you will get the mascots of Aqua Aqua. So rather than just kind of the abstractness of the original game, you have these ostensibly cute, lab-created cute creatures kind of wandering around the board. Instead, like for example, instead of rubber ducks in your small lakes, you get I think they're called swimming pals or swimming friends. So you get these little guys going. The water meter does have a little yellow one though, so you do have a little skin in the game, because if you let the water meter fill up, that little guy fucking drowns. So you gotta watch out for that. It takes everything that is kind of the core gameplay is still there for the most part. It takes everything that really sticks out, all the things that I'm sorry to say this, make it feel like a vibe, and just kind of replaces it with this weird plasticky wrapper. So it's already just kind of not unpleasant to look at. It's very inoffensive in a launch PS2 sort of way, which, as you know, is very much my wheelhouse. But compared to the original, it really just loses a lot of charm. It also adds what I'm sure everyone was demanding, which is a story mode. And of course, the story mode is the story mode does see you taking on 4 different monsters. Which, let me go and pull up the manual for you. And actually, let me just read to you from the manual, because this is insane. So, 1 billion years ago, just 6.5 days after the dawn of time, the planet was dry. With no water, there could be no life. In all of creation, only 4 evil monsters wanted to make their home on the planet. Being vain creatures, they gave themselves fancy names. Sparsit, Scorching Eggnog Fire Dragon, Slackbridge, Shaking Ceramic Volcano Troll, Bounderbee, Aloof Glacial Frost Lord, and Gradgrind, Astounding Astral Rock Champion. The Supreme Being saw the planet was dry and was not pleased. He decreed the planet must have water and dispatched 4 aquas, water spirits, to bring water and life to the planet. The 4 monsters were very angry. They hated water and they hated life so much that they complained to the Supreme Being. The Supreme Being said to them, "It is my will that there should be both good and evil, light and darkness, water and land. I will not favor one side or the other. Balance is the natural way. You may challenge the Aquas for ownership of the planet, but as you are strong and they are weak, you may only approach them one at a time. If the Aquas learn to balance the force of nature, I will protect them from your attacks. You may choose when to attack, but if you fail 4 times, you will be banished forever." The 4 monsters retreated, perhaps to plan their strategy, perhaps to find another home. Now, billions of years later, the Aquas have learned to balance the forces of nature and an endless struggle that brings life and beauty to the planet. So far, the monsters have not returned. So far. So yeah, there's a story mode. Once you complete the mandatory tutorial, which is just as frustrating as it is in the other versions, but this time mandatory, you go into a story mode where you go through different prehistoric eras. Each level takes place hundreds of millions of years apart from each other. And the gameplay is still the same, in that now, every few minutes in the level, you get a warning that one of the monsters is going to attack. And you're told that you have 60 seconds to earn a couple of earns. Say, I think it starts out the first level with Sparsit, Scorching Eggnog Fire Dragon, is 1,000, 10,000, and 20,000 points, which, as you know, is a lot in this game. So you are kind of forced into making a lot of, well, not rubber ducks, lake mates. You're kind of forced into a specific play pattern of trying to get 5 or 6 of the lake mates. And then also, every time you evaporate a lake with a fireball, a random item drops down. Just things like bananas, I think socks is one of them. It's a bizarre random array. And yeah, looking at one of them now. So a pill, a bathtub, a rice cooker, and a soup pot looks like. As you go through as those land on the field, your little scrimblers will come pick those up. And if they fill up a spot on a bingo card in the lower left. And as you fill up an entire row or column, you get a multiplier item. So what essentially happens is the scoring is really dependent on you playing a very specific way. The lake mates, obviously the lake mates really provide the base multiplier, and then if you get these items, for example, if you get the cloud, that multiplies your entire bonus by 35. And since the goal of each level is eventually to get to 2 million in about 6 minutes, which I have not achieved, to be honest, this obviously facilitates a certain specific playstyle that really just kind of takes you out of the mood of the game. So if you are looking to play Wetrix, I would really, really recommend either the 64 version or the Dreamcast version. But if you are a PS2 pervert, as I am known to be, you can do a lot worse than Aqua, but frankly, you can do a lot better. It was a launch game in Europe. It was released very shortly after launch in the US and around the same time in Japan, I believe. To my knowledge, it was not a tremendous success, and Z2 would go on to release a couple of primes, I would say, and the different ET games, and then release the surprisingly good Future Tactics: The Uprising for the PS2 before disappearing into indie development. They released a strategy game called Naked War in 2006, which apparently received some regard, but I've never heard of it, and then just not much from there. So it is a bizarre legacy, and Aqua is honestly kind of befitting of how wildly uneven their route is. But I again highly recommend Wetrix, with several caveats. I can recommend Aqua as well, but it would not be my go-to, even if it is on my go-to system. Anyway, thank you for listening. Hope to join you guys again soon, and have a great day.
Special shout out to our pal CJ. Thank you for going in depth on Aqua. Everybody should follow him online, The Emotion Engine on Blue Sky. Thank you, CJ. I think a lot of people say the Dreamcast release is the best version of the game. Is that true?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah. There are.
Doesn't surprise me.
It's not much different from the N64 version. It's just it's actually almost identical. Just runs better, basically, and higher res and stuff like that. But generally, it's not that different. Whereas the PC port has like some weird changes that they make to the like visualization of the grid that you drop down. Yeah, it makes it kind of like, I don't know. I always felt like the shadow that you can see where you're dropping in the N64 and Dreamcast one is like exactly enough information.
Yeah,
I just need to know where I'm putting this thing. Anything else is going to get in the way, because it's not Tetris where you're dropping into a 2D well. You're looking at a 3-dimensional image, and if there are more UI assets there between the piece you're dropping and the playfield, that's just going to obscure stuff behind it, like you said you're running into the rainbow before. And I think that's a bit of a problem with the PC version, although mouse support is nice.
That's
I
pretty
only
cool. Yeah.
very briefly messed with this on a Windows XP machine last night, but it's on My Abandonware, and you can just run that thing pretty easily, is my understanding. But yeah, I don't know. It's fine. It's there.
The vibes were not as cool, I thought, though.
No, not so much.
And to me, that's actually important for this game. Like, I don't even really care about how well I do. Like, as long as I can just be there kind of tending my virtual landscape and kind of keep a game going for a while, almost like like the slot machine zone there, where I'm just like spending 15 minutes just kind of like, all right, yeah, very nice. Look at the mountain.
It's a good brain off like hangout game. This is I recommend playing Wetrix Plus after experiencing a traumatic event.
Oh, yeah, Wetrix can. I mean, it's been good for me the past few days of just like horrible news and stuff like that. This is going to come out much later, but I assume there will probably be horrible news happening.
Yeah.
So. Just go to.
It's not like it ends.
The horrors, try Wetrix as a cure for the horrors,
or at least just a salve, a panacea.
But so I mean, we can talk about it then, because it seems like I said, it's a game neither of us had heard of before starting the podcast, but it seems like by all means it was successful. Like, it reviewed well and it sold well, and it got a sequel of sorts. I guess it's sort of a sequel,
kind of. Yeah.
Aqua we can talk about. Andrew, want to ask you, because I believe you have some experience with the game, and you apparently are threatening the game. What's in your eyes? What's wrong with this game?
The part where you play it is kind of the worst part, I think. Kind of the biggest glaring issue is the part where it's a video game.
Weird. Okay.
So
how do you mess it up?
Strange. So for some background, Aqua is a PlayStation 2 quasi port sequel-ish thing. I say that because it's like it's not meaningfully different in the way that you would expect a sequel to be, but it's kind of a sequel in the classic like arcade game sequel sense, which is to say we changed a couple small things. However, they did give it a complete like aesthetic makeover to attempt to market better to the Japanese demographic in terms of sales over there for the PlayStation 2, which was, flying off shelves, etc. I don't actually mind the aesthetic changes. They had some like goofy little characters that look like very what if the Chows from Sonic Adventure were created on an Amiga? They're very Britishy. This whole game
like
is
running around
British
too.
Yeah, they're running around all over the playfield all the time, which is strange. It's a little bit distracting, but like, I don't know, they're kind of cute. I'm not that worried about it. I found that a lot of people seem to have very different issues with Aqua as a video game as it compares to Wetrix, but my biggest problem with it is the combination of them throwing way too many UI elements for where you're putting the pieces down, and also having a really weird lag between the I don't mean like input lag or like latency between like you pressing the button and a thing happening on screen. I mean you using the stick or the D-pad or whatever, slide the what would you call it? The target, I guess, the spot where you're going to actually drop the piece. In normal Wetrix, we see that as a shadow on the ground. Here it's a bunch of other stuff, but you slide just the UI icon for where you want to drop the piece, and it takes a bit for the piece that's falling down from the sky to slide over to where you put it. And it adds all this motion as opposed to every other version of the game where it moves exactly like in tandem with, as if they were on a stick. Here they try to add this movement to it, and it's not subtle. It's not like a fun, cute little like animation tweener type thing. It is slow and heavy and has physics, meaning like if you slam it into a different part of the map while you're trying to move it over, you might have moved the icon over to where you want it in time, but as the piece is falling, it like slapped into the side of a wall, for lack of a better word, a little like canyon of a lake or whatever that you made, and just like things end up crashing not where you want them quite often. And between that and the fact that doing much of anything in this game other than classic mode on the base level background without any of the other like artistic additions and stuff requires going through they call it a tutorial, but it's what you're describing earlier with the you and the computer both getting the same pieces. The computer's kind of telling you where to put it essentially, and you need to go like copy it and put it there as well. But it's like a brutally difficult like end tier Gran Turismo license test type thing where
funny you
are not allowed to make a single mistake, and you are not allowed to do anything else in the game until you've gone through all of them. I was trying to refresh myself on Aqua last night, and I did something I've not done in a very long time, which was I just got so mad I stood up and turned it off. And I was like, I just mid game, I didn't even pause it. I was just like, I'm done with this. I'm done with you. I friendship ended. Well, there was no friendship there to really be had with Aqua in the first place. But
that's the exact opposite of what I want out of this kind of game. Like this was actually the sort of balm for me after I was also doing the Gran Turismo license tests, like alongside like preparing for that for an episode as well as this, and this was the like, okay, I need to like put my brain in the N64 water for a moment and refresh.
Cleaned it off.
That'd be fine if you wanted to have like I like in the original Wetrix that it is like, okay, if you feel like you've mastered this, like now, here's some harder modes and stuff, but that just sounds like torturous. So
yeah, no, and Aqua Aqua is a whole like story mode thing that they're trying to do and all that.
Now, I like that.
I like it in theory. I suspect it's probably obnoxious. I've not looked into it on the internet, and I sure as hell am not going to go through all of those weird little puzzle challenges on a version of Wetrix that feels bad in the hands. So I'll never know.
I would like I don't think this game is necessarily like lacking anything, or and it has like a wide variety of modes, but I did like in Tetrasphere how there was like a puzzle mode, and there was sort of not really a story mode, but you kind of could play through and get little scenes. In a lot of ways it was just them finding different ways for you to do the exact same thing, just with like a slightly different gimmick. But I kind of like that, where it was like I guess the practice mode is kind of the closest to a puzzle mode, where they would sort of give you like a scenario and try to overcome it. But I feel like a puzzle mode would actually be kind of neat, though I guess I don't know how you would make it work in this sort of game. But maybe you have like a limited amount of pieces, like in the Tetrasphere puzzle mode, and you have to set something up. But that could be cool. But sorry, Andrew, any other thoughts you had for Aqua Aqua, or it's just don't even try it?
Mostly just that it can go to hell. I did want to comment on the Game Boy Color version though, because that
please, yeah.
Was that a Europe only or Japan only that did whatever? It was not North America. Wherever that came out. But I was curious, so I sat down and fired that up while the kids were watching a movie the other day, and then their movie ended almost 2 hours later, and I was still in the same round of Wetrix that I had started at the beginning of it. And I was
boy,
man, I was having a time. It's a really slow, awkward version of Wetrix. It is extremely clumsy, and every action, it takes a second because it needs to like do some thinking. It's like playing chess on the Atari 2600 a little bit, but a common cultural touchstone that I'm sure everyone has done at one point or another, played chess on the Atari 2600. Anyway, I was nearly 2 hours deep into this run, and then the game just crashed, and I was like, well, I Wetrixed too close to the sun, and I put it out. So that's I win, I guess.
Every sentence you said made me think, like, I went back and forth between like, this sounds awesome to this sounds horrible. Like, it was 2 hours long. I was in the zone. I'm like,
I was having,
okay.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not going to tell you I was having like the time of my life, but I was like, I was having enough of a Wetrix experience to continue playing it of my own volition. I'll put it that way. I was having enough fun to keep going with it, I guess.
It looked neat.
Yeah, it's not something I can necessarily like recommend as wholeheartedly as I can the regular game, for sure.
Yeah, I thought about playing it. I watched like a little bit of gameplay. I'm like, okay, I think I've got the experience out of this that I would like to.
Yeah, you're not missing anything crucial there for sure.
But it's cool that they got Wetrix on the Game Boy. Like, that's
totally, yeah.
Even however it turned out, that's still pretty sweet. So
I'd play that at the DMV.
Yeah, no one round. McKenna, do you have anything else you want to talk about for Wetrix?
It's got a soundtrack.
Sure does.
Okay, that's fair. That's worth talking about.
Martin Goodall joint.
Martin Goodall. I noticed that like there were more tracks in the game than I thought. Maybe because I did try the different modes and there are some different songs, but I feel like I still didn't hear a lot.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of it. Sorry, he's the guy that did the music for the Mario Artist stuff on the 64 DD.
Oh, okay, cool.
That is where I know that guy from, for whatever reason.
I do think, I think they did a great job. Like that, I think played into the atmosphere of the game.
It's got a similar like Tetrasphere vibe.
Yeah, where it's like sort of I don't know. I'm bad at using words to describe music.
It does have less music than the Dreamcast PC versions.
Oh, really? Okay. I knew the Dreamcast.
I was looking at the list, and some of there's like some. I think Dreamcast has a separate one for like the Pro mode and the Challenge one, and the N64 one. It was just the same one,
okay.
And there's no multiplayer music.
Oh, okay. I don't even remember. I guess we were not playing in a setting where we would have picked up on that.
Yeah, I think it's the manual.
Wetrix and crowded clubs.
Yeah,
like Wipeout and Hackers.
Somewhere I read was said that there's no music in multiplayer, regardless of what music setting you have on.
Oh.
I was like, oh, okay. They're just telling you there's no multiplayer.
I have to assume
music.
that's an N64 not having a sound chip thing. It's a common multiplayer, like no music here because we need all the cycles we can get.
Yeah, that I feel
Mario
like
Kart.
we run into that. Yeah, Mario Kart's the biggest one, but I feel like that's very common actually in like a lot of a lot of the games we played. But I mean, it's still functional. And look, you just throw. This happened. We were playing Diddy Kong Racing. I remember once with our friends. I don't think that had music, right? Or was it? Might have been Mario Kart. It was one of those games that didn't have music. And nowadays, you just play the soundtrack on your phone. Or you know what? Wetrix, you could listen to Adore by his Smashing Pumpkins, and it probably works. So
and you will never be alone.
That's a wet album, I would say. Good. Okay,
something like that.
Good call on the soundtrack. Yeah. Andrew, is there anything else you wanted to get off your chest about Wetrix?
I wanted to shout out Qua, which is an independent game from a few years ago that's on Steam. I think Aqua, but take the A off at the beginning. Or I guess at the beginning of both of them. Qua, the A, whatever. Anyway, QUA. It's a similar thing, except instead of water dropping down and like pieces and stuff and you needing to put them somewhere, you are controlling the little dude running around on the play field that would have been there in Aqua, and you are there's still pieces falling, but they're icons of piece shapes, if that makes sense. And you pick up the shape, and then that is now in your like inventory as the little guy to run around and put it somewhere. And so now instead of having a set number of kind of like Tetris piece shaped, landscape maneuvers that are falling up and down, you have like a much more literal like grid of squares that almost end up looking like pixel art or whatever, that you have a lot more like fine control over, and so like the water is just falling at all times, and you are just improvising with the pieces that you find to pick up as you go. It's weird. It's a little it takes some getting used to because it's kind of like playing Wetrix backwards a little bit. It does have a multiplayer mode. It's a solo dev. I think this might be the only thing they've made. Yeah, at least the only thing that's on Steam. Tyrone Anderson. Whoever you are, Tyrone, thank you for putting this thing out for $1.99.
Oh, nice. Did you check that one out? I know
that is the reason I checked that out, to be clear. It was like, full retail price on this sucker is $1.99. I can do that.
And hey, it's like trying to do something unique. That's usually something you're looking out for. Is
sometimes I'll look up indie games,
especially for game. Like we say this a lot. It's probably kind of annoying at this point on the podcast. We're always like, someone should do this again. Like this is cool. Like, we get a million versions of Tetris for good reason, but it's like, why not give us the wet Tetris or give us the spherical Tetris or whatever, give us.
Yeah, but do something with it. And like, I think that's kind of where I land with Wetrix in general is like, they took a few bites at that apple, with the kind of different versions of it that appeared across the different like ports, for the brief window of time in which Wetrix was a going concern in the marketplace. But like, A, it's not something that you can, just like go buy on any kind of digital platform now. And B, it's kind of, it still feels like a formula that is rife for refinement and innovation. I think there's room for ideas here in a way that there kind of isn't necessarily with like Tetris, Lumines, Puyo Puyo, the other kind of like, bigger, more obvious, like falling block puzzle style things that are that have been really iterated on to death over the years. This is something that has not been iterated on very much at all over the years. So like I think that Qua being a little bit weird is like kind of cool, even if it's maybe like not as even if overall it does not do for me the like weird like just brain off flow state thing that Wetrix can do. It is still a cool fun thing on its own, and I like that. I think like there's anytime people talk about old games, there's this like reflexive instinct, I think, to want, and this is, I'm not going to claim that I'm immune from this, but there's an instinctive reaction to be like, they should, remake this, re-release this, whatever, even just remaster, whatever. And it's like, oftentimes, like, I think what people are really trying to get at with that is just, I want to feel this again. I want to be able to have this experience, or the emotional journey I've had with this experience, or whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be like remade from the ground up again, because at that point, it's no longer the thing like that you love. If you love this thing so much, why would you want it to be remade? Because then it's a different thing at that point. But I think that is a valid approach when it's something that could be messed with. When people posit they should make a new Wetrix or whatever, I don't think that's just nostalgia for a game that no one else remembers. I think that is a very natural instinct. I think because this is a game where there's a lot of I keep saying there's a lot of room to like innovate and add stuff here, as if I have ideas or examples of my own, and I really don't. But like, there's enough going on with like the agency that you have as a player to try weird shit with this game. Whether you want to make a bunch of little lakes in a little like grid, whether you want to make one big stupid one in the middle, and then when it breaks, all hell breaks loose and all your combos are broken, etc. I wouldn't know anything about that. Whether you want to shove all of the bombs off into one corner and make like a big mountain wall in between the rest of your area, to just so that you have something, a safe place to keep dropping that stuff. Whatever. Like, there are so few verbs that they give you, but there's so much that you can do with the way that you stack those things. And I think someone more clever than I could probably do something really cool with this. And there are probably other examples out there other than Qua that I do not know about.
I'm sure.
One that I'm aware of. So here we are.
It's, or like someone who's taken inspiration from an element of it that we don't see. Totally.
This is a job for Punk Cake Delicio.
Like take this mechanic.
Take a concept, a game, and do a twist on it. They did Shotgun King, but they've done a lot of other.
We did the like candles. There's the Tetris,
like Tetris. Yeah.
Like,
you have a flame and like melting wax. And they did a moon pong.
Some put Wetrix
pong in a circle.
Put Wetrix in front of them and see what they say. Yeah.
Sure.
I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying about remakes. For me, when I say it on the show, it's more from a place of having experienced it for the first time on the show and being like, not wanting like another version of it to like remake this or whatever. It's just like, I would like
do it again, but better.
I'd like to just see like a take on it, like, especially like, I feel like I think it just strikes me because like it's like a very unique experience, that I feel like, like you could probably get a new unique experience out of something that plays with this format,
I think the N64 is kind of really fertile ground for that sort of feeling. I think it being a really weird piece of hardware and not having the lowered fiscal barrier of CD-ROMs means that just like people are just trying a lot of weird stuff. And I feel like there are a lot of, I don't want to say dropped balls, but like there are a lot of ideas kind of left out on the table still with the N64 library on the whole. With a lot of these, kind of unsung B-tier games that don't really get brought up very often, the chameleon twists of the world.
Exactly.
I think that's something that makes this console feel so special to revisit, and even more so as time goes on and we see all of these different kind of like branches of ideas that could have been. It's like going back to, we talked on the Quake episode about 1996 being like, okay, you've got Quake, Tomb Raider, Super Mario 64, Resident Evil, all these different ideas of people trying to explore the idea of movement in a 3D space. And there's just, I love going, if you go back far enough, or like a really early animation in like the early 20th century where people were trying to figure out how to make things move, and like the sort of like rubber hose Steamboat Willie thing wasn't even necessarily codified yet. So like some of the early like Soviet stuff, like just the way that things move at all is like really wild to look at and behold, because the concept of animation was not like, that language was not built in the way that we understand it even foundationally today. So I think there's something fun about going back to a weird console like this and the kind of nascent ideas of game design that kind of represent a lot of roads that didn't necessarily get traveled, but still can be. And I don't know, I just think that's neat.
Even just looking at the puzzle games we've had, like they all have a different perspective. Some of your shooting, like it's cool to see that. Or you mentioned Chameleon Twist, like in even the N64, like if you want to call them platformers like that we've had, there's been unique stuff like that compared to Mario, compared to, I don't know, Bomberman is not exactly a platformer, but it's a game where you are a little guy running around on platforms. So, there's something about that. Like there does seem like a lot of potential there that's maybe untapped. In the case of your like for similar to I could see doing a thing similar to the candle wax Tetris, where maybe you could do Wetrix, but maybe it's not a map you're building. Maybe it's something, I don't know what it is, but maybe a cake or something. I don't know. But it's a cool game. One final thing I thought of while we were talking about this, because you mentioned the characters in Aqua and Qua. But reading the manual, they actually do give they like assign character like names to the icons on
in the menu,
screen.
Little like orbs with eyes. Whatever.
They're literally just like the different modes, and they have no like effect on anything, and there's no like story to them. But I thought that was funny that they were just like, this guy's so and so, and
the most cursed Dragon Quest slime you've ever seen. It's
wow, it's like weirdly, is that legally distinct enough?
I don't know. I'm a big city lawyer. Sorry.
When you beat the title screen is this nice blue water, and when you beat the puzzle mode, it makes the screen red, and I don't like that. But apparently when you beat all the modes on, like, I think get an okay score on all the modes, it turns it green. Which I did not get, but I would like that. I don't like red.
That's how you know the water is ripe and ready to eat.
No, I don't like it. It should be green, or it should be blue like water, or green like the earth. Red is too aggressive for Wetrix. I don't want to see red. I don't even like seeing the bomb sometimes, like this is harshing my vibe right now.
You could do lava containment.
Lava. There you go.
Generally speaking, I think if you're looking for stuff that's kind of spiritually similar, off the top of my head, I'm thinking, I mentioned earlier Builder's Block by Taito. It's also called Landmaker in some regions. I think Intelligent Cube is kind of spiritually akin to this a little bit on the PlayStation. Maybe to some weird extent, Loco Roco. I'm reaching now at this point. I recognize that, but I don't know. It's Wetrix is a great and beautiful thing. It makes me happy, and you should play the Dreamcast port. The end.
If everyone played Wetrix, the world would probably be a better place. I think that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Wetrix.
Hey everyone, my name's Darren Hupke. I'm a writer, publisher, and podcaster. My podcast is called Pixels and Polygons. Each week I sit down with a guest and ask one simple video game question. It's a random topic each week and it leads to a fun conversation. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform every Friday, and you can read more about it at pixelsandpolygons.net.
with that, I'll tell you what game we have coming next.
Ooh.
It's not that exciting. Our next game is Mike Piazza's Strike Zone. So
have fun with that.
We've had our third puzzle game, now our third baseball game.
We're really in baseball season.
Yeah, this one is a little too late. It's a few months late, or a month late, but compared to the other games. Spoilers, from what I've played of it, it really sucks, I think. So I don't want to say that, because maybe I'll see something. I've had that before where I see a glimmer of something in the game I like, but I just really don't see it happening at this game. So I look forward to that.
So the Griffey game that you guys covered with Abby is definitely top 5, maybe top 3 N64 games I spent the most time with as a kid. That's a stone cold banger in my estimation. So I imagine our friend Mike Piazza is not going to maybe compare super well. That close together.
Yeah, it's definitely the weakest of the three. Well, I'll save that for the episode. But we'll see what we can even talk about for an hour in that game. But Andrew, thank you for returning to the show.
Thank you.
Always love having you on. What would you like to promote?
I am on YouTube as Mythic Resonance. I'm on Blue Sky at Elmore.zone. My portfolio is online at Elmore.design. My music is on Bandcamp at SatelliteSound.net. And you can listen to my music podcast, The Silent Discographer, or my racing game podcast, Time Extend Revo. That's right, folks. He brought a notepad document called plugs.txt this time.
Oh, yeah, that was the most professional plug of all time. So, check all that stuff out. I mean, this guy could make a sick soundtrack to Wetrix 2.
I would love to.
For us, I guess check out all our stuff at flashback64.com. You can check out all our other shows on the Soundstone Podcast Network at soundstone.network. Thank you to Lee, our Triforce tier Patreon. You can support us at patreon.com/flashback64. McKenna, good job today.
Good job, Goo.
We'll see everybody next time for Mike Piazza's Strike Zone. Bye-bye. Bye.
Hello, we are Kirby Conversations, a podcast on Kirby along with adjacent subjects like Smash Bros., HAL Laboratory, and other related Nintendo games.
In each episode, we take an in-depth look at a new Kirby topic, drawing on our decades of experience with the series. I'm Sean Douglas. I'm a writer and podcaster with a background in video game and theater journalism.
And I'm Gigi, the editor-in-chief of Kirby and a big Kirby fan from Brazil. I translate Kirby interviews from Japanese to English and research a bunch of obscure Kirby media.
And I'm Bridget, a longtime fan, commentator, fan artist, and Kirby collector.
Join us for a mix of commentary and original reporting, deep dives into Kirby history, interviews with industry professionals, and more, as together we explore all things Kirby and HAL Laboratory. We're a proud part of the Soundstone Podcast Network, and you can find Kirby Conversations on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.